Hey, what's up YouTube? So today I'm here to showcase an Oakensoul heavy attack build for the Arcanist, updated for the Necrom DLC patch. This build parses about 84k on the parse dummy and is optimized for group content. As with all builds, please use this build as a baseline, as there's many viable gear sets and skills in the game, and builds should be tailored for specific content for optimal results. With that being said, here we go. So starting off in the character sheet, I have 64 points in a Magicka, and I'm running the Thief Mundits as per usual. For the race, we're a High Elf. I think High Elves have some of the best passives for even a heavy attack build, but you can be any other race, it doesn't matter too much. For the food, we're going to be using the standard either tri-stat or bi-stat food, meaning something like Bewitched Sugar Skulls or just pure blue bi-stat would work just fine as well. For potions, the best option would probably be running a resistance potion, meaning it's going to give you health, spell resist, and physical resistance. This can be made by combining Mud Crab, Mountain Flower, and Bugless. Make sure you have 3 points from the medicinal use from the alchemy skill line to benefit from the full duration of the potion. So moving on to CP, for the blue tree, we're going to be running Exploiter, Weapons Expert, Deadly Aim, and Wrathful Strikes. If you happen to need more crit damage, swap out Wrathful Strikes or Exploiter if you don't have access to Off Balance for Backstabber or even Fighting Finesse. For the red tree, we're going to be running the standard Rejuvenation, Fortified, and Balanced Vitality trio, and then the last one's kind of a flex, but I have Celerity in here. Moving on to gear, we're keeping the same gear sets, so we're running Sergeant's Mail with Stormmaster. So for the main hand, we have a Lightning Staff with the Sergeant, Precise with a Flame Damage enchant. For the head slot, we have 1 piece Light Slime Crawl and Divines with a Max Mag enchant. For the chest, we have 1 piece Sergeant's Mail, Divines with Max Mag. And for 5 pieces of the body, we're running all Stormmaster, all Divines with Max Mag. And for the jewelry, 2 pieces of Sergeant's Mail jewelry, both in Bloodthirsty and with weapon and spell damage enchants, and the Oakensoul Bloodthirsty with a weapon and spell damage enchant as well. So for the skills, we're running Blockade of Storms. This is a pretty big dot, and also if you need access to Off Balance, just slot a shock glyph on your front bar so that you can concuss them and off balance them with this skill. Writhing Rune Blades, this is our spammable. It does okay damage, and importantly builds Crux for the next skill, which Tentacular Dread. So this will, after 3 stacks of the Crux, this will do increased damage, and most importantly, it'll also increase the damage you do by Abyssal Link. So after 3 stacks of Crux, make sure you cast this. Fulminating Rune, this is just a strong dot that has an explosion after 6 seconds. Trap, because this is a really strong single target skill. On top of that, procs a bunch of hemorrhaging. And lastly, for the ult, we're running Languid Eye. This is a strong ult. It is kind of a small area, so be mindful that you do have to time this properly. You can run Destro ult instead as well if you wanted to do that. So for the rotation, as per usual, just keep up your Blockade, Fulminating Rune, and Barb Trap dynamically, meaning as soon as they fall off, recast them, and then when you don't have anything else to cast, just use your Rune Blades till you build 3 stacks, and then use your Tentacles or Tentacular Dread, and then whenever your ult Languid Eye is ready, you can just drop that whenever. So for closing thoughts, your flex spot would probably be Barb Trap or Blockade, depending on if you need off balance or not. If you do need off balance, swap your glyph to shock and you should be able to proc off balance pretty consistently. As far as heals go, you can either go the heal route or the shield route. I like using Evolving Rune Meld or Vigor as my heal, so those are 2 good options. If you do need an ult that has bigger AoE and doesn't require whatever you're fighting to be stationary, Destro ult is a really good option. Just very quickly, some gear alternatives. You can run the Undaunted sets, they're actually not that bad. Infallible Mage is kind of iffy because the bonus to the heavy attack is just kind of low, and Minor Slayer is already gained through our Oakensoul. And lastly, Noble Duelist is the best light armor option, although you do have to be kind of close. It says melee range, but it's about 8 meters if I remember correctly, and I did do a parse with it. It was about 83k, so barely lost any DPS. But the thing about Arcanist is they have inherent pen, so you probably don't need to run light armor. And I think that wraps it up. As always, thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, or better yet, come join our Discord. Link is in the description. I will have a written guide linked in the description for those who would prefer that instead. And as always, thank you to my YouTube members. If you want to help me support my content creation, please consider becoming a member. And as always, thanks again, and see you in the next one.